What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of the action coming up. As you can see, we got our new flanges cut out here, and you can see that they're kind of mimicking the one that we did here. I sent him a picture of the flange and the angle that I wanted, and he just drew it up in CAD and then laser cut it out. So that's super awesome of him. So as a return favor, Nick actually owns Black Sheep Industries. These are the wastegates that I'm using, and just for you guys, listed on the screen right here, right now, these are the Black Friday codes for Black Sheep Industries. So head on over there, you can get manifolds, you can get V-bands, you can get wastegates, you can get blow-off valves. Everything is on limited supply, so first come, first serve. Make sure you get yours in. Black Sheep Industries. I should curl my mustache up actually, because it does curl up now. I'm growing it out for mustache rides. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our flange here, and we're actually gonna bolt some turbos to it just to make sure that they all fit. And once we've done that, then we can move on from there. So they do fit on here. The only thing is we didn't get our 10 degrees angled this way, so the compressor housings kind of overlap, so that just means we have to clock them a little bit to get them to work. So instead of these facing straight down like I first hoped, they'll just be at a little tiny bit of an angle, but that's okay. When I go to join them up, I can just cut the pipes that I have to cut at an angle. So this is our header flange here. This is gonna be our flange for the turbos. You can see that the size is a bit bigger. So what I did, so this is why I ordered all this pipe. This is just Schedule 10 stainless steel pipe, and I got it in 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, and 1 inch. What that's gonna allow us to do is we're just gonna weld a little tiny piece of this into our flange for the turbo there. The rest of it's gonna be built in 1.5 inches, and then the 1 inch is what we're gonna use for the wastegate dumps to merge all into each other. So quickly, my plan here is if these are our turbos here, if this is our turbo manifold flange, and this is our engine flange, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 1.25 inches here, just where the holes in this side where the turbos are a little bit smaller. We're gonna join it up to the 1.5 inches, and then 1.5 inches is gonna go all the way down here. Obviously, we're gonna have to do some bends. And then once this part of the manifold's made and it's 4 into 4, we're actually gonna come off 1 inch hole on each one, and we're gonna join all those ones up, and that's gonna go to one wastegate over here. That is my plan. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but that's what we're gonna aim and shoot and try and do. Oh yeah, look at it. All of them are mounted up, but I have no way to hold this flange up, so we might have to unbolt them so we can just lay the flange flat. So instead of building it in here and having the strut tower to work with, what we're gonna do is we're gonna build it out here on this engine. This is another 5.3, this one's a Gen 4 all aluminum. As you know, the all aluminum motors with the Gen 4 rods will make over 1,000 horsepower, and this one is going in thirst trap, my girlfriend's car. And if you want to see her OnlyFans, it's in the bio. This is my scientific method of holding it up. These are actually probably 2 inches higher than what it is on the car, but I think I want it a bit higher just because it's going to be easier to run stuff. And it's going to look more badasser, if that's a word. To start things off, we have our 1.5 inch material, but we're going to cut a piece of 1.25 inches here at 1 inch. And that's going to be what we have to join to on this side, because remember we have to put a smaller piece of pipe here so we can still get our bolts in the bottom part. Alrighty, we're at this point now where we've got this tacked down to this flange, we've got an upright here, so we're almost straight, we've got a long piece, but now we've got to get the angle to get into there, and I don't really know how I'm going to do it. So what I did was I drew my protractor here, and then I've got this angle gauge that I'm going to use to find the tilt on that piece of pipe. So if I move this chair, maybe we can get a good angle. So now we need a piece that is 13.9 degrees, 14 degrees. This flat bottom is our bottom piece. The straight up line is our 90. If we put it like this and we mark in between the 10 and the 20 lines, that should be our 15 degrees that we need to cut our piece at. Now, I mean, technically this piece should be somewhat correct for the angle that we need. Looks pretty damn close to me. There we go, that's one runner up. Now, I think I can do this simply if I just build our runners up, 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 And then I'll just leave them on to weld. Like I don't have to crack them off to weld them. I can just make sure there's lots of tacks on it because there's gonna be plenty of room to get the torch in between all these runners because they're gonna be spaced out so far. So I think that's how it might be the way I do it. This one lapped up a little weird and we're gonna have to Dremel the inside just a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is. So what I didn't take into account is how many bends I'm actually going to need. I need 2 bends for each runner. We might have enough to build 1 manifold, to be honest. We have, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 left. Yeah, we have enough to build probably 1 manifold. I'm gonna have to order more. I thought I had more here. Unfortunately, I didn't. So yeah, I'm gonna need some more of that. What we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna build this front runner. That way we can remove the plate once the front runner is built because the tack should hold it all in place. I might add a couple more tacks just to make sure that it's not gonna move, but it is pretty thick scheduled piping. Yeah, so front runner next. It's actually gonna have to come, you can tell it's not directly above that runner. The other side, I haven't decided if I'm gonna go directly above the runner or if I'm gonna line the turbos up so that they're exactly the same across the piece here. I'll have to physically put a turbo on here, figure out where the exhaust is because the exhaust outlet is actually offset too. And I might offset it so that both of the exhausts are roughly in the same position. All right, we got number 2 runner built. You can see that it kind of comes out this way first and then up. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pull it off. I'm gonna put a couple more tacks in it and then I can actually put my turbos on it and see how they sit. Actually, I could actually put it on this car and see how the turbos sit. Well, there's our 2 runners and it bolts up and it's significantly higher than it was before. This is our hood line right here, but it'll be good for photos to get that internet clout, I guess. So 2 runners built, we got 2 more to go. Everything fits decently, except for this charge pipe is gonna be super weird to build. I might just have to like cut a piece out of it to go around. It's gonna be super weird. We'll also grab this while we're here. Oh, I keep kicking these goddamn bolts in the floor.
Don't do that.
That's from the old tubing bender. Just like that. I think 8 of them going up. I think we should do that, just the 8 turbos first, and then not the 9th one. What we should do is get a blower on here instead of this. Put like a Pro Charger right here, and run the Pro Charger into the turbos. That'd be a lot better. Alrighty, I'll show you how I'm doing this. So we have this piece of pipe here that we've made to go up to our turbo from here. And what we have is this little digital leveler, and I know that the engine's kind of level right here, so I can kind of base everything off this platform. So we zeroed it out, it's like 0.3 right now, which is fine. And then we'll get our pipe kind of the angle we want it. And then we put our leveler on here at the angle that we need it. So get our pipe where we wanted it, went somewhere there with our leveler, and it says 13, almost 14 degrees of pipe. So then what I did was I cut it, I didn't drop that piece, but where'd I actually put my cutout? I just had it in my hand. This is awkward. Oh my god, it's right there on top of the manifold. So this piece is like roughly 15 degrees. And then what I do is I'll put our piece in here, put our piece in here, and it should line almost straight up. If we want to, we can take our 0 again and we can put it on top of this piece and keep adjusting it, like rotating it directly under what we need until we get to 0, and then it should be pretty close. And then we've been taking stuff with the belt sander. As you can see, it's flat right across. What you want to do is put a little bit of a bevel in it. That way you can kind of get towards the root of the pipe and not just like on the outside of the pipe, so you get a bit of penetration to it. So I've just been putting it on here like this. you can see that there's a bevel on there now, so we have something to weld into. And now we just have to bevel the piece that we're gonna put onto the piece and then tack weld them together. So for tack welding these, generally if there's no gap between the pipes, you don't need any filler. If there's a little tiny bit of gap, I'll just put a dab of filler in there just to make sure. Make sure your tungsten isn't like mine. And when I turn my welder on, it's gonna be loud. And now that we have our two pieces tacked together, I can actually bring it to the belt sander and then sand down this top one, because this is kind of hard to do when it's just a little sliver. But now that's together, we can sand that, cut our last piece, and get the manifold done. Now this piece should fit into there, exactly like that. And then we just have to stack our other piece on top of it and tack weld that one in, and then this whole manifold is fabbed up. Well, kind of, we still have to build wastegate runners. But for now, just to get the turbos on, it'll be fabbed up. There it is. Our first manifold fabbed up. Just be finish welded now. It's not perfect. Because of the slip fit in the top, I was allowed to be a little bit sloppy on the angles. And still managed to make it fit because I could just slip it up, and even if it was at a little tiny bit of an angle up here, it's still just gonna get welded. And it's slip fit in the bottom too, so that helps a lot. So I'm going to mount the turbos on this so I can get a ticky-tock, because people love ticky-tocks. So now we've got to spin this engine around, work on the other manifold on this side. Perfect. Here goes nothing. So what I want to do, mind the heater noise here because it's really cold out here. We want to make sure that when we bolt this one to this flange, that the exhaust, so it's going to have to come so far forward here, the exhaust lines up. So I can't use this one because it's loosey-goosey. It's going to be something like this. You can see that if we look across the engine, they're kind of lined up the exhaust. That's pretty much how I want to have it. I don't want them to be like offset or anything. So this front runner is actually going to have to come a lot further forward than that one over there, and then the back one's actually going to have to come forward too. So the manifolds are going to be a little bit odd here, but this is kind of what you got to do to have the turbos in the right position. Now, oddly enough, we must have had two different size materials because this 90-degree bend that I've cut, and obviously isn't 90 degrees anymore, doesn't actually slip fit inside of this flange. So it's going to make it a little bit more difficult that it doesn't just slide in there. Maybe we'll take that flange off and ream it out a little bit, because that would make it way easier if this would just slip fit in there. This bandsaw is a beast. We're still in our first blade since we got this thing, and we've done quite a significant amount of cutting. Another one bites the dust. This particular runner, we had to try and keep close to the valve cover here, because if you notice, this one in the engine bay is actually by this brake booster here. So I'm hoping we didn't interfere with that. I don't know how close it's going to be. It might have to be remodified, but for now it's holding the flange where it needs to be held. We can get our front one going. We're only going to be able to get this one and the front one due to the fact that we don't have any more of these long radius bends. I have a couple more in order. I don't want to mix match the long and the short radius ones, because I do have a couple short radius ones, but we'll just wait for these ones that are a couple days out from Amazon Prime. And then we'll be able to finish the middle two once we get those. So we're going to work on the front one now. I already have this piece started. Just got to go grind it out a bit and work some magic. Okay, this should be it. I should be able to pull this off. Pull this off. This plate should come out. Two runners done. I don't want to say like I'm freaking awesome, but I'm pretty freaking awesome. Like on a scale of 1 to frickin', I'm like a FRICKRIG. Yes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this one off. I'm gonna put a couple more tacks on it because it isn't like fully tacked on like the underside and stuff. And then we're gonna take both manifolds and we're gonna put them on the car and put all 8 turbos on there and see kind of what we're working with. Also, I put this here so I can address people. I believe I'm going to run a secondary oiling system. This is just like a scabbage pump. It's up to 50 psi. And we're gonna use this to feed all all 8 turbos. So it'll come in the top of the turbos, and then the drain's gonna come out. I think I'm gonna go to build like a auxiliary tank or something on the side here somewhere that all 8 will drain into, and then the pump will pick up from that tank, and it will be a completely different oiling system than in the car. Pew pew, everybody! Our time has come. Get it? I'm Freddie Mercury. And boom, there it is. The most savage 8-turbo Mustang you've ever seen in your life. The manifolds, not really identical going on in here, but you know, it'll work. I do notice that this back one looks like it's almost touching the valve cover there. We got lucky with that. It's gonna actually be spaced out a little bit more because there's a gasket going there. But I wanted them to be kind of more identical in the middle of the car here. I know the engine in the chassis isn't exactly center, so it's not going to be perfect, but let's wipe down this window and see what it looks like from the inside as well. So from the inside looking out, this would be where your head kind of would be. Oh man, that's going to be cool. And then on top of that, we have to add our 8 pipes. So if we had, just imagine you had another 4 or 5 inches of exhaust pointing straight up out of this. Yeah, so 8 of those up. So it'd be like, probably end up like this high, maybe even higher. Anyways, that's all we have time for. It was great having you guys along with me for these past couple of days. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Peace easy, and get that V. And the merch store is boostedlifestyle.shop. It's in the link down below. Same with the alien trash kitty. Peace!